Hello, everyone. Welcome to That Park Place Live, the show where when Pro is not in town, we go on a Thursday. And I'm here with my good friend, Culture Casino. Culture Casino, how you doing today?
Fantastic. I'm happy to be here. It looks I need to get farther away from the camera. Let's see.
You
There we
do?
go.
Oh, well, there's more of you right there.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I'm wearing my Ryan Cannell hat, the RK Outpost
It looks
hat
like
for
it,
today.
it looks like you're wearing a hat that says Rick.
Yeah, that's his design. It's not me.
Yeah.
It says Outpost down that white stripe. So
If you get too far away, I'll play this clip.
goodbye, Gandalf. Oh boy! This morning has been good. I got a chance to read through some things I haven't seen recently, and I looked up, reviewed the market, and I was
Mm,
surprised that
the market?
after the stock market, and after coming to grips with the fact that Josh tomorrow did not move the needle upward.
That he did not.
I
That he
was
did not.
I was a little concerned.
Well, we're
So
definitely going to talk about that today.
okay,
I got some pushback from not just people that are generally critical of us being critical of Disney, but
right.
also some friends of the channel are like, "Well, you said this," and I need to defend myself a little bit. But before we do that, people are already super chatting culture. The first
Whoa.
the first Dragon Queen for $5. I have a conspiracy theory about the stockholders meeting. That is, make Josh look so bad, so Dana can come in and say save the day and save the day. Hugs for all. I get where that idea is coming from. I think at this point they're not playing 4D chess with they've got too many committee members. There's too many leaks in the ship right now for them to get away with that kind of a plan, unless it is very specifically a plan between James Gorman and Bob Iger. And I don't think that's what they're doing. I think that Dana Walden is dangerous to the company as far as the current political environment and the current administration. So that's a really risky move. That's counting on 2 years from now not having any issues. So I don't know. Culture, your mic went silent. There was a little bit of fuzz and there was nothing.
No, I'm here. I need to step away for a sec. So that's
Okie
all.
dokie. I'll continue reading these super chats. Thank you very much, First Dragon Queen. Appreciate you. Bruce Newhouse for 5. A great big hello and wishing all the very best to everyone today, which also happens to be my favorite and only mother's 91st birthday. Well, happy birthday to your mother. That's awesome. That's a great age. As in there's a lot of age there, and that's something to be treasured, having a parent reach the age of 91. It's amazing, and happy birthday. Culture would say happy birthday if he were here and not abandoning us. The mom member for 9. Good afternoon, everyone. Give Josh till Disney Q3 2027. Okay, so that would be, what is it? I'm working backwards because their quarter starts October, November, December. So their quarter starts at the end of September. So that's just before summer of 2027 by human years instead of Disney years. It's an interesting theory. I do think we need to put together a countdown clock for whenever it is that Josh Tomorrow would be replaced by Bob Iger if we go by the Bob Chapek schedule. Almost sending in a super chat here. Juliet says Pikmin's cool. Thank you very much, Juliet. One of our mods. Let's see. And Floral from Under Rock says, good day, mate. That's right. Let's see. Where are we? Flying Blind on a rocket cycle for $2 says, good day, all. Good day to you, Flying Blind. We're not flying blind as long as you're at the wheel. Ken Reihard for 2. Disney will get a thorough drowning in Walton Pond. Floral from Under a Rock for 5 Canadian. Wait, did anyone actually believe things were going to change? I thought that the current situation was so that nothing change Bob watered down power. Yes, this is actually what I've been calling for quite some time. I assumed that Josh Tomorrow would make it appear as if things were changing, but I'm seeing literal headlines from some news sites saying Josh Tomorrow decides to make Disney Plus the digital centerpiece of the Walt Disney Company. Like, yeah, that is the point. That is the point. It's like saying we're going to make theme parks an important part of the Walt Disney Company. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we are going to sell merchandise based off of our properties. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's like us saying, we are going to do a live stream in which we interact with our audience. Yeah, here we are. But thank you very much, Floral from Under a Rock.
Yeah.
And good day to you. And hello and happy Thursday to Jackie Delaney.
Hello.
Hey, look, OG Dutchie's out there too.
Hey.
Q2 is what the mom says. Q2. She's moving it forward. Or I think the mom's actually a dude. So, let's see. Bruce Newhouse. Note that she's fully mentally with it, except that she's old school Democrat, but I still love her. Are we talking about Dana here? I don't know. All right. Well, let's get to our first story of the day. And this one is out of Deadline. No, this is not a That Park Place headline. And if Deadline is agreeing with That Park Place, you know that something is up. Tough love for new Disney CEO Josh Tomorrow as Wall Street frets over sluggish stock. You see, it's not Deadline that's got the problem. It is Wall Street that's fretting. Here. And what is that sluggish stock? As of this morning, the Walt Disney Company is at $99.30 a share, putting them at a market cap of $176 billion. And about $30 billion of that is ESPN alone. So, you know, it's a company. It's there. It's not doing much with it. Josh Tomorrow did the first annual shareholders call, I should say, as CEO of the Walt Disney Company. There was a sizzle reel. First of all, we started off with a note from James Gorman, the executive chairman of the company, talking about how to vote. Then we had a sizzle reel from Bob Iger saying goodbye. Then we had a sizzle reel from Josh Tomorrow saying hello. And it listed all the properties that Disney has, plus all the things that are tangentially related to the Disney company. Even shows that they rent from other companies, like Bluey. That was in the sizzle reel as well. They want all those shareholders to not pay attention as they flash image after image after image after image in front of their faces. And they want everyone to think, oh, look at all the things that Disney has.
Well, I mean, in the technical sense, they do have them. I mean, it's a licensed property, and they're investing in Bluey, in their theme parks. So they intend to hang on to that licensing for a while, because otherwise, what do you do with that new developed area if you don't control that IP for longer than 2 or 3 years?
Right. And you know, Disney will have the rights to the Bluey movie when it comes out. And
Right.
I hope that the Bluey movie is everything that Ludo Studios and Joe Brum have been able to accomplish on 8 minutes and 30 minutes, and then make that an hour and a half or whatever it needs to be. I think it's going to be one of those rare instances where Disney releases a movie that is sub $150 million. I don't think it's going to cost $150 million to make a Bluey movie, but Culture.
No, to me, it's amazing because it definitely will be way cheaper. I think it's going to expose the laziness that Disney's been operating with, and the fact that they've been throwing cash after, opportunities that could have been much less expensive. I think I think all of Hollywood is learning that lesson right now. It's not just the Disney company, but most specifically the Disney company, which needs to learn it. They need to spend money in the right places and not in the wrong ones. The media they produce is there to support the theme park industry.
Right.
They need to remember they are theme parks first now, and have been for quite some time since Walt's passing, because they lack the creativity to create new things. And every once in a while, when they did hit a home run, it was because of somebody else's idea and labor, and they took advantage of that going forward. The example being Cars with Cars Land and Toy Story with, the Toy Story stuff and everything else when it came to the Pixar side of the equation. They don't often arrive at original ideas that are successful. And even when they make sequels of originally successful material, oftentimes that falls very far short of the original and of profitability. But in the recent case, it hasn't, which is good.
Right. So I will say, I think the stock is about as stable as it's going to get. I don't think it's going to go. And again, no financial advice. Don't invest anything based off of my advice. That's accountability. One, I don't have any accountability for your stock purchases. But two, you really don't need to be taking financial advice from YouTubers.
No.
But the thing that I realized, and everyone on the Valiant Renegade earnings live stream for the Disney company realized, is that Josh D'Amaro said virtually nothing for the entire time that he was speaking. That is an amazing skill, and he actually accomplished it better than Bob Iger. Bob Iger at least said things that we could refute, or he would say things that were an outright lie. Well, maybe I should say outright misrepresentation of what the shareholders would think was meant by the words that he said. Let me make sure I'm clarifying that.
That's a great question, Jonas. Was he more successful than Iger? I don't know. He dodged everything he was asked and obfuscated the entire way.
Right.
And look, that is not going to be tolerated for very long. He might have been able to get away with it with this call. But investors, even the institutional level folks, are going to be less than satisfied with the dodgy answers he gave.
Right. One of my favorite statements that he made, here it is, also from Deadline. New CEO Josh D'Amaro tells shareholders Disney is in a category of one, and thanks Bob Iger at Major Milestone. So did you catch why he said that Disney is in a category of one? While other companies are struggling to consolidate, Disney is in a category of one, to get the more complete aspect of that statement. So Disney is taking credit for having already consolidated with Fox and is trying to shame the other companies that are now trying to consolidate. That's classic Disney right there. We did it already. That's why we're in a good spot.
Yeah, but I could argue that they haven't, because they're not fully integrated with Fox. They're still lagging behind. And again, one of the reasons stated to acquire Fox specifically was to take advantage of their enormous number of IP opportunities. They haven't. Right. They, a lot of them have sat fallow. In fact, most of Fox has sat fallow for a long period of time. And it's just now that they're trying to realize with 20th Century Studios, whatever they're calling that mess now. They never should have got rid of the name. They should have just adopted the nameplate. They've lost history with that. And they've lost people and institutional memory with Fox that would have been producing genuine Fox products. And maybe that was something that they should have had second thoughts on. I don't know. That's my opinion.
I agree. I agree. I think the amazing thing to me is how much that Josh D'Amaro has set himself up to say that this is a company. He's going to act as if the company right now is the company that they have been for the last 100 years or will be for the next 100 years. You know, we can gloss over certain aspects. Kevin Feige didn't appear in Bob Iger's sizzle reel. John Lasseter didn't appear in Bob Iger's sizzle reel. Josh D'Amaro is talking about the future of the company as if it's strong. He asked, what's the balance between sequels and original IP? Absolutely did not answer that question. He talked about it for a while. He was even asked about ticket prices. And the closest thing that he came to an answer on that was, yeah, we have $40 tickets for parents and families, which, you know, great. That's not going to move the company forward as far as bringing in the middle class people again. It's a different strategy than it was in the past. So I think that Josh D'Amaro, I'm still waiting for that next step for him to show how he's different than Bob Iger. But the reason that Josh D'Amaro was specifically chosen was so that he would not be different than Bob Iger. So meet the new boss, same as the old boss, younger version. He has more of a focus on parks, meaning that Josh D'Amaro is actually aware of the parks. I've always heard that Bob Iger never really had anything to say about the parks. He wanted some headlines out of it for him to run the business. So I think between Josh D'Amaro and Dana Walden is the better choice between those two options. Not saying that she's what I would have chosen for the film side, but Josh D'Amaro knows less about that, and he will have more to say going forward after Dana Walden's next contract expires. So I don't think that they're going to. I don't think they're going to get rid of Dana Walden, though. I don't think they're going to intentionally try to get rid of Josh D'Amaro either. One thing I want to bring up: the shareholders meeting specifically did not mention Disneyland Abu Dhabi, which is probably for more reason than one, the conflict in Iran that affected the Disney stock price. So Disneyland Abu Dhabi up in the air. They said the agreement has not yet been finalized. There may be some agreements in form that have been signed, but they hadn't yet finished that. I think they had just solidified a little bit more of that right before the shareholders call. But I think it was smarter for them to avoid the topic entirely at this moment.
I think the instability in the region is going to cause everything to hit the pause button, because tourism will be down for a sustained period of time. So yeah, it was definitely smart not to talk about it.
Yep. And with that being said, there's a great big beautiful tomorrow, and we're just waiting to find out if he wakes up with no makeup in the morning and makes you go, ooh. That being said, let's get to Super Chats. Mech1164 for 5. Like I said on the pre-show yesterday, stock goes down under 80. Watch Peltz and Junior Ellison make a takeover bid. If that stock goes down below 80, then I'm saying that Ike Perlmutter is getting back in, which that's the statement he's made. He could just say by that point, I wash my hands of it. I don't think this stock is going to get down to 80. I still think they have moves that they can make. If the stock does go down to 80, that unlocks Josh D'Amaro's ability to make big changes or be changed upon. If I'm coining a phrase there,
I think you're right. But the problem is he has a rival that's gonna. This is where you and I disagree. He's got a rival in the building that's going to challenge him at every step of the way. And Dana was the worst possible choice for the company to be named creative, because she lacks creativity.
Yes.
And has no experience on the creative side of the equation. So naming her that, and then her selections based purely on politics, Deb O'Connell being the primary one in my mind, is maybe not the best leadership decision. So in answer to the Super Chat, I think you're right. I think we're going to look at Ike Perlmutter and Nelson Peltz, but we may look at another billionaire to walk in and decide he wants to own an entertainment company.
Right. Between I said between those two, Dana Walden was the better choice for the film and television side. If they wanted that to actually rock, they would not be picking Dana Walden.
True.
So there was something that I felt needs to be addressed from the earnings call, and that is Disney CEO Josh D'Amaro comments on controversial disability access service changes. You know why they say comments? Because he didn't say nothing. Josh D'Amaro, during the earnings call, was directly asked by an AI, and this was an AI that was chosen to, they picked the questions, and then I'm pretty sure that they massaged those questions to be as favorable as possible. And then Josh D'Amaro got to record his answers and give them not live, but for the first time ever on the earnings call. In that, let's see if they actually have the response from Josh D'Amaro. Here was the question: would Disney consider restructuring the Disability Access Service program to ensure that it benefits everyone who needs it? This was right on the heels of a Disability Access Service question being rejected, a proposal that was on the docket for the proxies there to vote on. That got rejected, and then this question was asked. So I think that they allowed this in on purpose. But here's where we get into the funny part. Damaro noted that and I almost want to say this like it's an AI so that we get the full euphemistic, sedated feel of what he said. Josh Damaro noted that accessibility is a deeply personal topic and that being able to get access to accessibility services may be the only way that families can experience the theme parks together. Damaro says that Disney is focused on creating a welcoming and inclusive environment for all. Damaro then talked about the current approach to the topic of accessibility, noting that the system is a result of extensive work with accessibility experts and medical professionals. Damaro said that it's important to Disney to have individual conversations to find the best match for a person in need of accommodations that Disney's broad list of options. Damaro closed by noting that Disney will continue to listen to feedback and they will continue to learn and apply expert guidance in an effort to provide great experiences and support guests. It's not that different if you look at the actual thing here. Hey, if you could boil that down to one word, yes or no, will you be looking into disability access service changes, culture? Which one would you think this means?
Nothing's changing.
Yeah, this is a no from Josh Damaro right now.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of controversy over Disney's DAS changes. First of all, they were looking into matching whatever Universal system was. We had that on good authority. We didn't run with the story, and it turns out that was a good thing. Another site was also prepared to run with that story. They did say after the fact that they had heard the same thing. That site is not favorable to us. So when two opposite publications and their perspective on Disney say we heard the same thing, you know that rumor's true. What they ended up going with is a system in which a person has to call in and talk to a cast member, some kind of medical person of some kind that is a cast member, describe your affliction or condition or whatever you want to call it, the sick and the flick, as you might say in a religious setting. That person then rejects them and says, sorry, you can probably practice in line at home. Practice standing in line at home is the classic line that we keep hearing from people who have been rejected. And or you can buy Lightning Lane. So buying Lightning Lane, that was the problem that precipitated the change in DAS, because we were hearing that people claiming to have a need for DAS was tripling as Lightning Lane prices went up, that there was almost a correlated uptick every time the price of Lightning Lane multipass or whatever it was at the time went up. Then people would go and request DAS, and the people who were in charge of DAS were not allowed to ask probing questions of any kind to determine whether or not the person actually needed disability access services. So in order to protect Lightning Lane, in order to protect the parks, they changed to this current system, which has been, I'm going to say, upsetting to most of the people that I know that I think legitimately needed DAS. Culture, do you have any comments on this and whether or not it's going to end up biting Disney in the butt down the road?
I think everything Disney has done since redeveloping the DAS program has been disastrous. I think it's really designed around getting people focused on purchasing their way to front of the line passes or opportunities that otherwise wouldn't be available. And I think it's disgusting. I'm sick and tired of Disney trying to, play the victim or trying to, shelter their regular guests, as they would put it, in terms of, we don't want people who are exploiting the system when, the majority of the people who ended up getting DAS before clearly were in need and needed accommodations. So it's Disney, diving into an area they never needed to be in the first place.
Well,
honestly.
I will say there may have been a majority of people that needed it, but
Yeah.
then there are also people there's two other categories. There's people who could get by without it that would like it and would prefer to have it, and that's fine. There are some people I know that are genuinely disabled that will get DAS and then refuse to use it unless they think they're in a situation where
Yeah.
it's really necessary. There's another category of people that these were the ones that they were making TikToks about on how to game the system. Those were the ones that ruined it for everybody else.
Yeah.
And then Disney going from Fast Pass to paid Lightning Lane, I think that just made it. There was too much of an incentive there to abuse the system. If you did get people abusing the system, uh, we'll talk about third-party vendors another time here. But when third-party vendors were offering themselves up as tour guides, and by the way, that they qualified for DAS, get what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
Basically, there were people in wheelchairs that were renting themselves out in
Yeah.
order to get people Lightning Lane. That got cut off and ended up, what was it? GAC was the previous system.
Yeah.
That was shut off entirely. I know people who wanted to go to the park that could not without some form of accessibility there, that they just basically couldn't do Disney until GAC was replaced with DAS.
Unforeseen consequences is something that Disney no longer can project forward.
Mhm.
They I think they lack the understanding because they also they got rid of a lot of the institutional knowledge that used to help manage these ideas. And what would happen is they really didn't study any queuing theory when it came to these outside the line lines that whether they be virtual, whether they be an accommodating element or anything else. And I think that they've suffered for that because I think they got away from line sciences, which is why they were having talks with the great Len Testa, who
Mhm.
operates a pretty successful company based on knowing what days not to go to the parks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think this is something where Disney feels like they have made these parks in a way that accommodates everyone. I know people who are disabled that have gone to the parks that have noted, actually, this accommodation that you've put here isn't fully thought through. And we've covered
yeah,
that in different ways on this channel in the past. So apparently, there are people who are pretty opposed to us that actually enjoy our coverage of DAS on this channel. And if you're one of those people, hey, I appreciate you being here for the ride. And I do think that Disney probably needs to up their game when it comes to DAS. They need to be the market leader, not someone that everyone goes, oh, it's better everywhere else.
yeah.
All right. Well, looks like did I already? Yeah, we got this one from Mech1164. Thank you very much for that. Doge Powell for $2. Disney has reiterated that they are not neutral. Yeah, that's an interesting headline that's come out of all this. One of the shareholder proposals was to make political donations at the company neutral.
Yeah.
I think what's funny is from a business standpoint, I get why they said no. And they also don't want to give to right-wing causes. If you watch the shareholder proposals that are blanketly left-leaning, they usually do much better than the ones that even hint at going to the right. This one failed spectacularly. I think probably didn't do them any favors by bringing up Turning Point USA, which is obviously a right-leaning organization. I think that the right-leaning people probably favored that, and the left-leaning people and the institutions, because remember, Disney is like 65 percent or greater institutionally held, not by real people, but by money managers who are managing other people's money, if I can say that twice over. So the institution, the managers there are generally left-leaning or will answer to left-leaning people. So they're always going to favor what they view as not politically neutral, which is they view themselves as neutral by always leaning left. Packing protons for 5. Josh Damaro answers questions like Mike Zero. Mike Zero, rebuttal.
Oh yeah, I wish I could do Mike Zero right now. I am unprepared. But yeah,
It's true. He could have a future as a Mike Zero style channel if he wanted to.
Yeah, look, as much as I really do appreciate Mike's constant content. I do think that sometimes the takes may not be aligned with reality at times. So yeah, I'm going to
Yeah.
say that nicely.
No, I
I
I
enjoy
was
it.
meaning Josh tomorrow could
Oh,
if he needed a
oh,
fallback career.
I misunderstood. I thought you were talking
Oh,
about me.
you can do a good impression of Mike Zero in that style.
Yeah, yeah. I just don't think that works with my brand. Let's say.
Yeah,
But
I agree. I agree. I like Culture Casino just the way he is. FTM 22 for 2. ADA doesn't allow probing questions,
nope.
not magical. Agree.
No, no, and they're not a medical institution, and they aren't in a position to, get put in that position. And I do believe that the number of institutional shares held by outside groups is higher than what you said a moment ago. I think it's closer to 77%
Yeah.
of Disney. So,
We have got one more topic on Josh tomorrow specifically that we have planned today. Of course, if the chat takes us there, we will go there.
yeah.
But there's one more thing that I want to talk about here. So Josh tomorrow has now been christened as the next Disney CEO. He is the Disney CEO, which means his first annual shareholders meeting, he gets the same kind of question that every Disney CEO has gotten for years and years and years, and he avoided it like a chief executive officer. New CEO of Disney, Josh D'Amaro, asked the Figment question. So the Figment question is almost anything to do with Figment. They always ask, hey, when are we going to get an update to Journey into Imagination or Journey into Your Imagination or Journey into Your Imagination starring Figment? When are we going to get more Figment at the parks? And here we go. Josh D'Amaro responded to whatever the question was. There it is before continuing. I love the fact that there's so much adoration for Figment. D'Amaro shared, speaking like an AI. Figment has clearly stood the test of time as a fan favorite and continues to spark creativity and imagination across generations. He talked about the fact that they did a How Not to Draw segment on Disney Plus. It's on Disney Plus. You can watch it if you want. I haven't watched that one because I've been watching One Piece season 2.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's good. I wish it didn't have so much cursing in it. So Figment is one of these items that is very controversial to me personally because Disney has said they're not going to put new IP into the park. They're only going to use existing IP or something they're trying to develop into a film property or a TV property or something like that. They're not going to do specifically make original IP in the park. So the same Imagineering organization that once came up with the Haunted Mansion or the Pirates of the Caribbean or the Carousel of Progress, and of course the namesake of this segment, Journey into Imagination, ... the Figment ride. They're not going to do that anymore. Despite that, Figment is a huge seller of merchandise for the parks. He's legendary when it comes to actual Disney fans. So Figment popcorn buckets, Figment meet and greets. This is what the parks are made of right now. The Disney adults love it.
Yeah, but they're looking back at it kindly with kind eyes and from a nostalgic point of view. And talk about an unexploited original IP. Figment is a park original. He came out of nowhere. He came out of that attraction, and yet they've exploited him at every opportunity, except for in media. Where is the Figment conversation? Where is that? Where there's a lot of things Disney got right originally, and look, even the behind the scenes talk about the attraction, as far as the internal conversations about why it's not redeveloped. Well, after every redevelopment, there's lots of magic lost in that attraction. The first time they did it, they shortened the track and they removed one of the major carousels in there. And the second time it was adjusted, it was to remove the heartless storytelling that was left behind. It was like the ghost of Figment. So we got what we have now. That attraction, I believe, needs a fundamental resurfacing in a way that restores the original outline or outlay of the track and the original intent of the attraction. And I think they're miles away from doing that because they themselves lack the creativity that attraction was designed to inspire in young people.
Yeah, I'm gonna defend Imagineering just a little bit here and say one thing. I think they
Okay.
also lack the budget to do it because
No.
I think that if they did a Figment refresh right now, they would not have the money behind it to actually try to move merchant. I think they kind of like Figment being this obscure item, and they don't want to make him into a current parks thing because they want him to be to have heavy fan interest instead of making him the thing that everybody needs to buy. Like, sorry,
Except
that everybody needs to know. So that what am I saying here? I'm trying to say that I think they want Figment to be a niche property.
how did that work out for Duffy Bear? It
Oh
didn't.
no, yeah,
That collapsed unto itself. I mean, it was a good idea brought over from a different park from a different nation, and
right.
he became an unofficial mascot for the entire whole of Epcot,
Uh,
at least for a period of time.
well, that's where we're different on where they're different in Japan versus over here. Uh, Tokyo Disneyland is a what do you get if Imagineering cares? What do you get if the entire company cares about what they're doing? As opposed to Walt Disney World, where they just are trying to get their headlines so that they can get people into those parks. The parks right now, I'm sure at spring break they're crowded, and they're trying to sell a lot of Lightning Lane right now. I'm sure that Lightning Lane Premier Pass, if it's not sold out, it is pretty close to sold out right now. So they don't have the motivation to go and add capacity to those parks because less capacity means more Lightning Lane. So fixing the Figment ride so that it drains capacity for the people who will pay top dollar to go to that park, I don't think they're going to fix that ride.
Yeah,
And they're
but
probably, again, they're not going to put the budget into a Figment refresh.
they should. And look, for no other reason than the merchandise movement would increase, tenfold. I mean, you would sell more Figment watches and Figment. He used to be an automatic print money kind of
Hmm.
a character. And he was, again, original IP. They claim they have so little of it, or fans do. Anybody who's observing what's happening there. They went to the trouble of building a terrible, replication of what they built in Paris with the rat ride, and
Hmm.
I look at it as like, okay, I didn't mind the ride so much. I think there's going to be something missing with lack of 3D, but that's just me. And I feel like, that had been sitting on a shelf for a long period of time. But Disney has not exploited Epcot the way they have. They're trying to run their parks with a limited number of attractions for the very reason that you said, artificial scarcity. And
Right.
I also believe, and this is one of the reasons that I get shouted down occasionally, they're running them at less than full capacity all the time. Pirates is an example of that, especially in Magic Kingdom, where there could be far more boats on the water and it could be far better managed than it is now.
Hmm.
And they don't even bother because they want to create a line that would otherwise not exist. The same thing's been happening across the board. And when they take other things off the board, like the additional distractions in area that was Frontierland, which was, one of the most beautiful parts of any park, they're creating more scarcity, right? And I think that the regular fans, the people of the parks, the park fans specifically, have noticed that.
Yeah.
And I think, so your observation is correct, but the internal conversations don't revolve around that for redeveloping or refreshing attractions that literally could make them even more money. Isn't it more valuable to sell a watch than a Lightning Lane? Isn't it more valuable to sell more merchandise based on an
I would
IP?
say that, except that Lightning Lane is $450 per person per day if they're on the heavy days. I mean, at Animal Kingdom, yes, Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park, yes, it's more valuable to sell a watch than a Lightning Lane. But the Lightning Lane, that's a digital product at this point, and it incentivizes them to not fix their rides,
Okay,
which
and
they reluctantly said that they're working on maintenance, even though this is another one that gets me about Josh tomorrow, is that he literally could have said, yes, we're putting $30 billion into maintenance and getting more ride
which
time
they
up.
need.
And by the way, they just said to everyone out at Disneyland, we got 1.5 million more rides because we've raised uptime. But Josh tomorrow was so committed to not saying anything on that shareholders call that he didn't even bring that up. He didn't bring up hard data.
Well,
so I would say, because we need to wrap this up and get to the next topic.
Yeah.
With Figment, this is you're right. It is golden opportunity. If they think that they can move so much Tiana merch from redoing Splash Mountain, putting an entire section dedicated to Figment at the end of a fully restored journey into your imagination featuring Figment, or whatever the combination of words is for that ride.
Convoluted. Yeah.
I can't wait for Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, A New Mission at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disney's Hollywood Studios Park at Walt Disney World Resort. Anyhow, I think that they don't have enough faith in Imagineering to do what Imagineering used to do. You think about this ride, which was a Tony Baxter ride under Marty Sklar. Was Marty Sklar in charge of Imagineering at that point?
Yeah, I think so.
Either way, sure. You get Billy Barty doing the voice. You get the Sherman Brothers doing the song, and you have something playful and lovable and a new IP that has been able to serve the company for generations. And Disney is not looking for a generational product like they used to have. They're looking for something that moves the quarterly stock price within the next 3 months, and sometimes like a week before the shareholders meeting.
But their recent attempts at doing that have failed miserably, and I'll point towards the Tron coaster, which is disastrous for them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I don't know. I don't think they're even moving Tron merch at the parks.
No.
Even though that's an IP, they could probably do some interesting stuff.
Do you realize Critter Country merchandise was constantly being acquired by guests? How much Tiana gear is moving? Nothing, because it's also not centered around the movie. It's centered around the ride. And I don't have the sales figures for Tiana merch. I just don't see a lot of people talking about it. Now, power-up bands, that's a different issue entirely. So I think it's very clear. Disney, do more Figment. Give us more Figment stuff. By the way, have the guts to put something new in the parks so that people will buy it. All right, let's get to super chats here. WJB Daily for 5. No matter what the U.S. Mint plans, Bob is the bad penny that keeps showing up, even in his shiny new tomorrow. So true.
I had to update my one of my favorite tweets that I ever had. It was going through all the guys named Bob or Brian that were the heads of all these companies.
Bob Weir.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just going to go through the Disney list of Bobs. There are a lot of them.
And I realized in that Bob Chapek, I believe his son's name is Brian Chapek, that is working at Marvel. So there was another Brian to throw in there.
Can I throw one last observation at you? I know we need to move on, but Pressler would be absolutely disappointed with the lack of use of IP compared to his period of time. Of course, he was the retail guy. He didn't belong in charge of anything other than stores and stuff. But their earnings per square foot is far lower under the existing management because they don't move as much merchandise as they used to. They eliminated 2 giant merchandise centers in Epcot Park alone. And they have less desirable things across their entire merchandise lines. If you go to, the main Disney store, World of Disney, or anything like that, even at Disney Springs, you have far less to work with than you used to. And that space has been redesigned into something terribly boring. So under previous leadership, the opportunities to sell guests on, things that they could wear around to help promote the brand. Because at the same time, merchandise is a promotional tool.
Yep.
That is another thing that they miss out on all the time now.
Yep. The Mum for $2. Jonas is right. A gallon of paint is $300,000 a bucket. There was a note that came from Josh Amaro when they were redoing Esperanza, doing what of the Dino Land USA into the City of Hope, whatever they're calling Tropical America's Land, is that it can't just look like you slapped a bucket of paint on that. You got to go back to the drawing board on that one. So we're hearing some words about what the budget should be versus what it actually is. So I hope that Tropical America's Land looks great. So Snarky D coming in with a $20 super chat. Good morning, TPP. I am near halfway to 100 of age. Figment is a permanent resident in my memories as a child. Bring him back. Have a wonderful day and weekend MegaCon or not. I will not be at MegaCon.
Yeah, I had to pull out last month from being there. I would have been there.
Yeah.
But no, there's too much going on that I need to be on top of here.
Yeah. And then Snarky D for $2. Pro clowning last night was fun. He was clowning. What was he doing?
Oh, it was fun. The show was a good time. We had a good time.
And
then Lou and I went on to continue the frivolity with the Hollywood Backlot show, which I love doing. That's such a good time.
Yep. We went blank there for just a second because I also want to say thank you to Snarky D for gifting 10 WDW Pro memberships. That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. And in honor of you. Good stuff. Thank you very much, Snarky D. That's amazing. And there's some discussion here. How will Pro escape the cameras at MegaCon? Pro just needs to cosplay as Master Chief or another armored character, face hidden. And Jed says, anytime Jonas goes anywhere, everybody breaks out and do a dance and sing.
They do.
Jonas is back.
I've been there. I've been around Jonas. People just celebrate. The guy is just a wandering minstrel.
Yeah, a wandering minstrel. Oh, wait. Are we not supposed to sing the Mikado right now?
Well, no, you can't.
Yeah. I think, Pro will be around at MegaCon in a way that a lot of people are not expecting. That's what I have to say about that. We do have another story to cover here. It's an update on a previous matter that we've covered on that Park Place. Looking at this one, out of the Independent, that's a legit newspaper.
Really?
Disney's crackdown on princess makeover vendors has left moms excited, kids in tears. Sorry, it has left moms of excited kids in tears, report says. Let me try that one more time. Disney's crackdown on princess makeover vendors has left moms of excited kids in tears, report says. This of Aaron Keller in Ohio, which is not in the UK, but here we are. Some third-party service providers are still working with clients at non-Disney hotels and Airbnbs while seeking other off-site opportunities. This is a story that I wanted to cover because it's an update to what we've already talked about on this channel. So there was a moment at which a bunch of former cast members that had formed a Facebook group were saying, hey, I think that Disney is actually using this group to target and find people who are doing third-party vendor services on property. So there were businesses set up that said, yeah, we can visit your room and we can do a special redecoration of your room in a princess way for you there. We can do photo sessions at the parks. We can do photo sessions in the hotel. We'll go with you into the hotel and do your makeup, your daughters or your sons, with the way that Disney's going these days, I guess, makeup in the hotel, and then they can do a photo session there at the parks. There's other things that people can do, like private chefs, and that apparently is winding down because Disney has gotten wind of it. I don't know if this is something that Disney is going to create their own product, or if Disney is now upset that people are trading on their name. But Disney said, no mas, we're not letting you do this. Cease and desist. You can't do that anymore. So, Culture, were you aware of that story when we were covering it before?
Yeah. I mean, Disney's been really starting to crack down. They're especially heavy on Etsy and other types of businesses that exist outside of the company. But to be fair, they aren't really guilty of, being in development of any of those services beyond like the basic princess and pirate makeover that you could get in the parks at the boutique. Again, these third party services have been around for a while, so it's not disappointing, but it's strange that this is now the crackdown. I wasn't aware of how they were sourcing this, but it makes sense.
Well, yeah, I think some former cast members probably had. I don't know. This is a funny thing to me because there are companies out there that just use Disney all over the place in their advertising. There are entire T-shirt companies that they do whatever they want with IP because I think they're technically covered under parody law. We obviously had the Reedy Creek State Prison T-shirts that, depending on who owns the name Reedy Creek, that could have gotten us into trouble. I think we would have been legally in the clear, but it was a parody shirt. If we would have had that as a defense, if we were really going down that realm. I think marketing things that include Disney in the name, that would be a problem, except everybody knows that there are gift shops very close to the parks that are literally called Disney Gifts. Like that's Disney is in the name. By the way, why is Disney such an easily distinguished name? Because it's not actually what Walt's original name was. I think it was like D apostrophe ISGNEE was the actual name, and they made it easier to read by changing it to Disney DISNEY as it is now. So the thing that I found interesting here, one of these people, let me find the words here. Walt Disney World is enforcing long-standing rules banning third-party services on its property, disrupting small businesses and leaving some vendors feeling that the magic has been lost. Baker Ashley Santmeyers, who launched her cottage bakery Storybook Delights after being furloughed as a Disney pastry cook, has been forced to rethink her operations. She sold and delivered customizable breakfast boxes, cookies, cupcakes, and cakes, with Disney Resorts serving as her primary customer base. When she received a cease and desist letter, she had nearly 200 orders on the books and took out a small business loan to issue refunds. So she had to go into the hole in order to give people refunds for what had already been booked. And during the slow seasons, she said
Wow.
the off season, it was slow anyways. And now she says she gets 3 to 5 orders per week instead of per day. So it's a
Wow.
factor of 1/7 of the business that she had before.
Wow.
This is the danger, of course, in having something that is Disney themed that relies on Disney property in order to do your business. In some ways, you could say that we rely on Disney to do our business. We don't really. We'll talk about things other than Disney in just a moment. But culture, what do you think Disney's responsibility is in all of this?
Well, I mean, a lot of it depends on the corporate message that they want to send overall. Everybody has a mission statement. They have messaging that goes around that, and again, it's going to be hard to argue against this. But you contrast Disney with the way that Illumination and other people have allowed for their IP to be used and things like that. You have Disney suing everybody, including parents who lost a child who wanted to use Spider-Man on their tombstone, versus you have home daycares, right, that are using Illumination. They're using the Minions all over the place, and they don't get sued into oblivion. So it's just you have different approaches to this, but you want to protect your likenesses, your trademarks, your copyrights and things like that. I feel like there's got to be a happy medium. They've reached one with people like voice actor and fashion designer Ashley Eckstein, for example, because she operates her universe, and she clearly has clothing brands or items that are based on Disney properties, including Star Wars. She was selling a lightsaber skirt amongst a lot of other designs, and maybe that's with Disney permission, maybe it's not. But we aren't really as familiar with the formalized relationships with people who have permission or have a licensing agreement with Disney that inhabit the space. And look, they're looking at all kinds of vendors. I'm not sure if they've looked at the purple box guys or not. I'd have to reach out. But
Hmm.
I always find it curious that does this serve, Disney in the best way? Does it make them look like a villain? In the case of many of these businesses, I would say Disney's looking pretty villainous on some of these fronts.
Yeah, I think it's a bad look on some level for them to do this for so long and allow this for so long and to not give them any warning period. Just cease and desist. You are done. You're not allowed to do this anymore. I understand the third party tour guides within the parks. There are some people that uh,
I
they
know.
don't want to compete with the VIP. They don't want a competing product to the VIP thing. I think that some of this you can probably. Oh, by the way, we're going to go to Disney on this day, and I'll show you around the parks. That's a different thing. But obviously, the handicapped people who are renting themselves out in order to get skipped the line,
That's different.
that's
Yeah.
not cool.
Yeah.
But looking at this, I think this is something where Disney needed to give some kind of warning before they did this to let people know that they would have this coming because there's so many people that are trying to make money this way. I don't know if they're going to end up going after Airbnbs that have like Elsa themed rooms. Actually, that in some ways would just be giving up the market to Universal as I see more Minions and Super Mario Brothers and
Yeah,
Harry Potter coming up.
we're actually starting to see a lot of Airbnbs, especially in the area near Universal. They basically are essentially, fan palaces for any Universal brand. It's odd. Again, Disney's making some very strange decisions and has been for quite some time when it comes to the fandom. And I think that's obviously led to deterioration of loyalty to the brand. How
Right.
about that?
I think it's an official transformation for the company. They used to be the kind of company that did magical things and everyone wanted to protect the magic. And I slowly see them transforming into just another company with a litigious streak there. So, with that being said, we got some super chats here. Chef Eddie for 5. Did you see the result of all the DEI in the Disney C-suite? That place is whiter than an Oscars after party.
Wow.
I'm not sure that's completely correct, but it's more correct than it used to be. Sonia Coleman is still head of HR. Tanisha Agramonte is still chief. I think it doesn't say diversity anymore. I think she's like chief
It's the same
inclusion and
thing.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Same game, different name.
Yeah.
But yeah, Horacio Gutierrez. I guess he's technically white if you go by the legal there, but. Anyhow, Tina Guzman says, why don't we see Vash on the channel? I know he has his own channel and is getting it going, but he was a great contributor. He's still a good contributor.
Yeah.
He's on the channel at least once a week, and because of that, on videos several times a week. But yeah, he's still around. He is launching his own channel, though, which I think he should have done a long
Years
time
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
And wish him well. So,
Yeah.
yeah, he's still on the channel. So
Yeah, and like I occasionally will make it over to one of his streams. So I think we're good.
yeah.
I think we're good.
Yeah. I was talking to him yesterday. Let's see here. We have finally a fun story full of joy and merriment because one day I'm going to be king of all pirates. Have you been watching One Piece season 2?
Yes, they've threaded the needle, man. They really did. They made it satisfying. There are some changes, and obviously, therefore, in season 3 there'll be some changes from the manga. But I'm just gonna say this thing is an endless runway. Unlike most things that get canceled at streaming services after 2 or 3 seasons, there's no chance. This is they're printing money.
Yeah, well, I would have said that about Stranger Things back in the day, but One Piece
No.
seems to have a joy to it that that Stranger Things never had. Not that everything has to have joy, but wow. The thing I'm most impressed with One Piece is it's so close to being something that I would love for my children to watch.
Yeah.
There's a little too much, more than a little too much language in it. It's TV-14, but the thing that I want to point out here is that Universal Fan Fest Nights has One Piece right now.
Wow.
And Universal Fan Fest Nights, the more more open, more accommodating equivalent to Universal Halloween Horror Nights, is getting bigger, and One Piece seems to be making its mark here. So let's look. There is Usopp and Sanji there, and it seems to be they're a little bit closer to the Japanese version, the original anime version of the property. We got what is that? Roronoa Zoro, Nami. Oh man, why am I Monkey D. Luffy? All them. I think that Universal here has something pretty cool on their hands as far as One Piece goes. I would like to see them do more, and I think that they have an opportunity that maybe Disney doesn't have to do really cool things with anime, and they've got an entire realm of properties that they can take advantage of. That Disney's hands are tied at the moment. We're going to go over to WDWNT and look at some of their cool pictures here. Hey, there you go. It's One Piece again. And they've got all the wanted posters, which I don't know why that they're not just offering those up for
sale. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, because I promise you, people would frame them and put them on that wall.
Right.
That's nerd. That's a nerd cred item right there.
Yeah, so, I think this is Universal Studios Hollywood, so this is probably in the same place that they do Waterworld, if I'm guessing. But they're doing a live One Piece show there, and there's just an energy to this property. It's full of wonder. It's full of hope. I like it very much, and I would say even though there's a couple of things here and there that if I had my way, I would do it differently. I'm not the creatives in charge of it. I don't like that they have a girl playing a guy in the first season. That person shows up again in the second season, but also there's dialogue that's flat out that's whoever trained Roronoa Zoro is a girl, and they spar. So when she's a girl, she says a girl can beat a boy, but a woman can't beat a man in combat. And I'm like, that's the opposite of woke right there.
Yeah, no, it's very true to the original. So, like I said, I mean they've been threading a needle. They've had to play some of the Hollywood games, but beyond all of that, at the same time, this is a freight train that has so much inertia and movement that I don't know how you stop it. I don't think they will. I think this is going to get more seasons than I anticipated, and I think it's a good thing.
I also think that this is ripe ground for Universal right here.
Yeah.
First of all, they can just do events. I don't know what they can do with that fountain at Epic Universe, but that'd be a pretty cool place to put a One Piece show. I know that they have room for expansion areas. I don't know that they would want to do an entire One Piece. I think that American audiences are just now getting familiar with it, so it's probably not a good idea to do that specifically. But they have enough room there for another theme park, not counting the Lockheed land that supposedly.
That's right.
And what is that deal, Culture? It's an
option. It's an option okay. For acquisition once vacated. So Lockheed needs more room. Everybody knows that. And they also know that they are being surrounded constantly by elements that, don't exactly add security to what they do there. Mm-hmm. So I don't suspect it'll be very long before they abandon that and the option is exercised. And we're looking at a whole lot of space, Jonas. This is a lot of land. So lots of opportunity.
Yeah, I think this has everything it needs to be the next great theme park property.
Yeah.
Because it's a huge world. There's apparently like 1,000 issues of the manga. The show's been going on forever. And now you have the live action adaptation, making it just ripe for Western audiences to pick up on it. Again, not crazy about the language. When my kids watch it, they watch an edited version of it. In fact, I got to get on to editing season 2 so that they can watch it. I could probably just get VidAngel or something like that. But I think that Universal has everything they need right here if they can just get the rights to do a full-on theme park attraction for One Piece. So, all right. Hey, look at that. First Dragon Queen for $2. Jonas, you know nothing. Lol. You're right. You're right. I know nothing.
Yeah,
What do
I
we?
know
What do,
enough.
what do we specifically not know anything about, though?
Hey, I know enough to know that I know nothing. So
Yeah.
that's the important part.
Some people got on me for Designy, or what ends up being Disney. It's a French name, apparently. Okay, sure, that's fine. Christian Corlejo for 5. With all the physical sets they've constructed for One Piece live action, do you think they'll reuse them for any permanent Universal theme park land?
They should.
They should. That would be awesome. I got to go look over here. It's not telling me what you did here, William Thompson, but thank you for becoming a YouTube
He's at Tipcot.
Tipcot.
TPP. Yep.
Welcome to the That Park Place community of tomorrow. Oh, here we go. First Dragon Queen for 2. 1,155 episodes, seen 1,053. Just saying. Okay. Yeah. Lots. There's lots.
So much material. It's ridiculous, and each season seems to be gobbling up giant chunks. But I'm loving it. I'm sorry, and yeah, it does have some rough language. It's not for kids for sure, but again, if you get a Jonas edit, I'm sure it's safe for kids at that point.
Yeah. It quite doesn't even have that one naked butt in it. Ken Reihard for $2. New Stardust Racers renamed Gathering Dust Racers.
Oh, yeah.
That would be a second name change, because it was Starfall Racers before, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah,
if I remember rightly.
So I would still like to ride Stardust Racers. Didn't get a chance to do it the first time that I went to the park. It was in that brief window when it was closed. Not so brief, actually. Christian Correjo for 5. With all the content that the manga and / anime has, do you think Netflix is willing to use AI to keep the One Piece live action going? How would audiences react? So what I've heard, what is the guy's name? Oda? That runs
Oda.
this?
Yeah.
He
Oda
said that he thinks the live action has a different stopping point than the manga and the anime.
Eiichiro Oda.
I believe you. Yes, and bless you. So I think he has the options of stopping it in different ways. I also like that any of the changes that they make for the live action are Oda approved.
Yeah.
So that's a vote of confidence that they don't usually get. Like with The Witcher, it seems like they stopped taking Andrew Sapkowski's, however you pronounce his name. I have less of a problem pronouncing Japanese names than I do names from my own home region. They kind of ignored the source material there. With One Piece, they have their options of changing things around and having the blessing of the author.
Right.
So,
yeah. And look, I mean, that's the safest way to work with a property, right? Is you consult with the person who put it together, if they happen to be alive. And fortunately, that's where we are.
Yeah.
But look, this is a series that started off in 2023, and we're still talking about it with enthusiasm and excitement in 2026, 3 years later. So that's pretty good.
I'm wondering if it'll be a year and a half before we get season 3.
Probably. Well, it takes a long time. Think of where they're filming it. They're essentially in Cape Town. I mean, and a lot of what's being done. I mean, you look at all the filming locations, but specifically, that area, that region is where it's being shot. So it's a lot of extra work.
Yep. William Thompson, member for 16, says Jonas J. Campbell is the greatest YouTuber. I'm kind of like Mike, Mexican Iron Man here. I'm almost not a YouTuber, except for the fact that I'm hosting this show today. So I show up on Pro's live streams as I can. And
Pro showed up. Did you see him?
Yeah, I did. I did. He's where is he at? And Deborah says hello to him.
Aw.
And WDW Pro, I'm available for the panel. And there he is. Hail chat.
Hey.
Yeah. Good to see you, Pro. I hope you're doing well while you're probably on the road driving to MegaCon, which I don't get to go to this year.
Yeah, I think you and I are both equally bummed about that. So get together with friends, have adult conversations for a little while. I think it's fun.
First Dragon Queen says for $2, 2027 season 3 already has a trailer out.
That's not surprising. It's not surprising.
And let's see here. And Lauren says hi too. Hi, Lauren.
I don't
Uh,
want to. I don't want to listen to road noise, but that's
Jay
just me.
Jay is the Pirate King. I think it's he writes a pirate novel, and now you say he's the Pirate King. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. All right, we got one more story that we want to cover here, and I think this is fascinating. Somebody's getting sued, and it ain't me. Sesame Street parent company sues to be removed from SeaWorld and Busch Gardens theme parks.
Wow.
Written by John Self over there at Attractions Magazine. The Sesame Workshop lawsuit against SeaWorld's parent company could end a 45-year partnership and reshape Sesame Street attractions at U.S. theme parks. If they're still worth having in theme parks, I'd like to know. A new Sesame Workshop lawsuit could reshape the future of Sesame Street attractions at several major U.S. theme parks. The nonprofit behind Sesame Street has filed a federal lawsuit against United Parks and Resorts, the company that operates SeaWorld and Busch Gardens. The complaint alleges unpaid royalties and contractual violations tied to Sesame-themed attractions across multiple parks. If successful, the lawsuit could end a 45-year partnership that has helped bring beloved characters like Elmo, Big Bird, and Cookie Monster to theme park guests for generations. You know, I'm not saying that Cookie Monster is a bad influence. I'm just saying that ever since I started watching Sesame Street, I've gained more than 100 pounds. Sorry.
Well, you know,
According
everybody who's eaten a carrot has died.
That's very true.
Sorry.
Eventually, according to reporting from Reuters, Sesame Workshop filed a lawsuit Thursday in federal court of New York to seek to terminate his license. They said, while we did not want to end a partnership that has spanned 45 years, we have regrettably determined that the termination of our agreement is the only path forward, Sesame Workshop said in a statement. They're asking them to terminate the licensing agreement, award unpaid royalties, and grant punitive damages. I'm afraid that the punitive damages that Sesame Workshop has inflicted upon itself with being the kind of organization they are could never match whatever they think SeaWorld and Busch Gardens has done to them. So, Culture, do you think that this is going to free up Sesame Workshop to do business with other partners in a way that is actually going to help Sesame Workshop?
I think people overestimate what they might be worth. I mean, their partner deals as far as merchandise goes are probably the most valuable asset. Right now, their licensing fees are roughly $84 million. So I think that when people look at it and suggest that, you know, that they're worth, you know, $1 billion or more dollars, I think that's wrong. I think that between Disney, they've devalued the Muppets and in turn Sesame Street. And the same is happening with what, you know, the brand is over the years, as you pointed out. There's a lot of political alignment problems that they have, and separating themselves as a children's or family brand from the politics they currently have is going to be tricky. And just like Disney, they're walking into a boiling pot of water. So
yeah, I think that also HBO Max giving up on Sesame Street was a clear indication of the strength of that brand there. I don't think it's something that people ever sought out, which made it actually a pretty good fit for PBS, because PBS had kind of the force of gravity behind it. It was television for kids who were not yet going to school. And now that market is super saturated. I mean, Disney has programs that are, I would say from an educational standpoint, pretty lackluster, but do everything they can to hold on to a children's market in a way that Sesame Street has failed to do. And then once you get into that poison pill of introducing a little too much politics into a children's show, then parents are going to say, we're going to watch something else. The parents that are
going to watch Bluey.
Yeah.
And look, they're also a not-for-profit corporation, right? So, assessing their values based on essentially what they own, what their asset value is. And so you look at that and you're looking at approximately $470 million in net assets, and that's it. they don't really own anything because everything that they put out into the public to generate revenue is a licensing. And so they just get a percentage of whatever those sales are.
Right. The other thing here is there was that threat that, oh, if PBS stops funding Sesame Street will disappear. One, they kind of did that to themselves, and two, the licensing on Sesame Street is definitely enough to get them the funding they need to continue making content.
Well, the revenue generated on their brands is over $1 billion a year, right? Yeah. But they don't really, that's not money they're taking in. It's just, their licensing deals and the production of their merchandise is what they get a percentage or collection of, and that's the annual, recurring revenue. But like I said, I mean, what do they hold anymore? The real value at the end of the day is still tied up in the Henson family. So.
Yep, agreed. And the Henson family, for lack of a better way of putting it, is still struggling to get out of the shadow of the Muppets, which are now owned by Disney, and Disney doesn't even know what to. Disney's not even doing them any favors by boosting the name.
Hey, come on, Rock and Roller Coaster. Come on.
Oh my. Well, best of luck to whichever party is the aggrieved one here in this Sesame Workshop lawsuit. I guess we won't be seeing them at Busch Gardens in a couple of years now. All right. Hey, look at this. William Thompson sent in a $10 super chat. Lorne Connor, my hat is better than your hat. Plus, Jonas J. Campbell, you can run, you can hide, can even deny, but you're the greatest YouTuber of all time. All time. I'm the greatest YouTuber of all time. Anyways, Archer Merchant for $5. Perfect cluster of failure. WGA strikes. New CEO with stock dropping. Films down. Oscars down. Star Wars down. Parks down. Unthinkable 10 years. Disney has everything they need to be a great company, except talent that is unfettered by corporate overlordy. So it's a really good clip from Vince Vaughn, of all people, talking about how his rise to success could not happen under the current environment because the risk-averse nature of Hollywood right now, it's a self-imposed problem. They want everything to appeal to everyone, and so they appeal to no one. He said, look at Madison Square Garden and the number of comics that are allowed to say whatever they want. And the numbers that brings in. There's nobody doing edgy films anymore that are being distributed to the masses on that level. You get something that's a great movie, he said, that would go to the festival circuit, but independent cinema is not making it to the forefront anymore.
Well, you're not going to see things like The Hangover. Or you're not going to see. I mean, these are problems in his particular genre, right? The comedy stuff. But you report anecdotally on that. I'm going to report anecdotally on what Matt Damon and Ben Affleck recently said. That the way that they came up, the things that they developed, and even with their Project Greenlight, they're in a very challenging situation. That's just highlighting failure more than it is success these days. So it was a lot of people are starting to observe that perhaps not just the political stuff has been interfering with this. It's the lack of broad appeal and the fact that the niches can no longer. They don't even let select niches exist in the marketplace, and that's bad. You should underwrite a film for $20 million that likely will make 3 times at least its revenue and have opportunities for sales over the course of licensing, and then of course marketing directly to consumers via either streaming services or direct media purchase. So I think one of the biggest factors, and this is again something else that the two guys who got us Project Greenlight, we're talking about is that the minute you pulled the media sales aspect away, the real fans buying a piece of the film, you pulled out substantial financial support that the mere licensing isn't going to replace. Licensing for streaming, that is.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So we've got one more story that we are going to cover today. It's a very light story, but I think it's worth covering here. But until then, until we get to that, though, we do need to point this out. Flora from Under a Rock. I just finished all the teaching notes for Colossians 3, 1 through 17. It's such a great book. Been half listening while working. Well, I'm glad you're giving your full attention to the Bible, since you have been raised with Christ and are setting your heart on things above, sir. I'm just giving you a hard time, man. I've done that too. All right. Our last story for the day. I just want to point out butterbeer seems to flow and cash flows seem to follow it. A butterbeer cafe is coming to New York City. It's a pop-up. It's not there forever, but Coffee Mate and Wizarding World are putting this together. Whether you're a witch or a wizard, your next magical coffee break is calling. This from Attractions Magazine. A brand new butterbeer cafe is arriving in New York City for a 2-day experience, blending the cozy charm of the Wizarding World with a modern coffeehouse twist. The event celebrates the launch of butterbeer cold foam, March 27th and 28th. I'm just going to say, butterbeer coffee. If I were to consume such a product as this would be tempting.
Yes. I'm thinking of it right now. I'm like, this is devious. This is devious.
I tend to stay away from the hydrogenated oils myself, which I think is what this is made of. But what
a shame. What a shame.
Exactly. If they had a clean version of this, I'd be there. I'd be absolutely there. The zero sugar version, man. It's been so long since I've had a soda, and I'm definitely not going to consume anything like this. But man, it's so close. But listen to this: Frosted Phoenix, an iced coffee slushie layered with butterbeer flavored creamer and cold foam, finished with a touch of red sugar. That sounds delicious. The Salty Owl, which, yikes, if you know how owls eat, a balanced iced coffee combining butterbeer flavors with salted caramel. Or Hippogriff Honey, a golden blend of butterbeer creamer, honey, and shimmering sugar. So this looks delicious to me. They say guests can explore hidden details throughout the cafe, including a sensory wall that blends sight and scent for a multi-sensory experience. That's a redundant sentence. Playful magical touches throughout the environment, photo ready moments that feel straight out of Wizarding Village. So it's my
gosh, they're Instagramming it. Good job. Holy cow. Wow, the marketing is brilliant. Whoever put this together was genius. Genius.
I'll tell you what, on this channel, I love the idea of butterbeer and what they've done there. I think it's amazing. It's akin to Dole Whip at the Disney park.
It is. It's dominating Dole Whip, I would say. I mean, they're expanding locations within the theme parks themselves. It's like, you can get this. You can take it home with you. It's like, nobody wants blue or green milk to take home. Trust me. Oh, it's so gross. But.
And Vash likes to bring up the fact that they sold enough butterbeer in the first year of Hogsmeade at Universal Islands of Adventure to pay for the entire expansion. And that is soda and sugar soda. That is all that is right there. And then, you get the butterbeer potted cream, you get the butterbeer ice cream, and now there's butterbeer ice lollies and butterbeer waffles, and they've got it at all the different locations in Burra Burr if you want the butterbeer butter on your waffles as well. And of course, they added it to City Walk. They are going to eventually have a butterbeer intravenous intake for you to sign up for at some kind of universal medical center. I'm convinced. And to, again, use the words from Jurassic Park, and people will pay for it. They don't even need a coupon day. I'm not actually endorsing any of the unhealthy aspects of this, but I think it's amazing the things they've been able to monetize on that. So I'm not going to New York to buy some Coffee Mate, but another opportunity to talk about butterbeer. England DG for 5. I tried to grow purple potatoes, but they turned out white. Am I be doing the racism? What do you think, Culture?
No.
Yeah. That's all you're going to say?
I tried to grow purple potatoes, but they turned white. No, I think you probably live in an area where it's Well, first of all, you shouldn't. If you start with a purple potato, seed potato, and you allow it to chit in advance and then plant it properly, is as long as you're in good soil, you shouldn't have any nutrients lacking. Which a change in hue or color would be the only situation that would occur. That's strange. Tubers usually don't change kind, unlike avocados, which are not true to the seed that comes from an avocado is not true to the original plant. So you don't get a Haas avocado tree from buying a Haas avocado and turning it into a plant. It doesn't work that way. They're not true to type, whereas tubers are, because essentially it's just the same tuber replicating itself.
That is amazing. Would you say this is upsetting to you?
No, it's surprising. It tells me that the
potatoes, fried green tomatoes, arugula. Hey, what's up?
When injustice strikes, I strike back.
Culture Casino. Let's go. Culture Casino. Let's go. When the EMS tries their best, strap him down, check his chest. Culture Casino.
I love it.
Every time.
Double versus Jonas is Black. I was waiting for that to happen. Yeah. I guess Pro's influence has gotten.
I think it's leaked off on all of us, to be fair, and I do mean leaked.
Yeah.
Not rubbed off. It leaked on.
Oh yeah. What are you saying, man? Archer Merchant for $20, also on labor side between the news about Cesar Chavez and the political corruption investigations. I'm seeing a lot of labor heads suddenly fleeing the Disney sector.
Yeah.
Some also feel Fran missed the mark on AI with the last contract.
And they're right. If any look of my friends that still work in the entertainment business, a lot of people are really upset with the direction of everything right now. And I mean, Fran went shopping when the rest of you were suffering. So what does that tell you?
Yeah. What is Maxwell Sheffield going to see when he sees the credit card bill? What else do we have here? England DG, if it'll let me bring it up here. For $2, my stupid joke led to a horticulture class.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes. Horticulture. Bruce Newhouse for $5. When the Harry Potter generation hits their 60s, the butterbeer flavored anesthesia will be the favorite for open heart surgery. Stupefy.
Literally, quite literally.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And, oh, my goodness. Jesus,
we got more.
What do you say?
We got more, don't we?
No. You want more? You want more?
I don't know. Like I said behind the scenes, I wasn't in as much of a hurry as originally indicated. So.
Well, unfortunately, I am in a position where I need to get going. The only thing that could keep me here is if somebody dropped a $500 super chat within the next 10, 9, 8. I'm just kidding. I'm going to go. All right. Love you all. Appreciate you. Thank you very much for subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.